We're good. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start our first council meeting, first council workshop meeting of 2025. We'll start with our agenda with a call to order.
President Ferguson.
Here.
Vice President Gerard.
Here.
Councilmember Burns. Councilmember Fagan.
Here.
Councilmember Cresser. Here. Mayor Gerard.
Here.
Junior Councilperson Nesbitt.
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder.
Here.
Borough Solicitor Harper.
Here.
All right. Can we all stand and do our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We didn't arrange anyone to do an invocation, so I'll just do it for us. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to start off this new year in your service. We ask you to make this a good year for our residents, for our municipality, for this governing body and the people who manage us. We ask you to continue to bless our community and bless those in it, and just watch over us and allow us to have a great year. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we'll start with item 1, approval of the meeting agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for today, January 15th, 2025, workshop and regular meeting?
Okay.
I get a motion from Councilman Cresser, second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions, changes, or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Item 2, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th workshop meeting and the December 18th, 2024 regular meeting?
Second.
I got a motion from Councilwoman Cresser, second from Councilman Fagan. Are there any questions, changes, or amendments? If there are none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item 3, public input. If there's anyone from the public who would like to make a statement, we ask you to please step up to the podium, make sure the green light is on, and state your name and address and the reason for addressing council. Not one with everyone that's here today? Okay. All right. If not, we'll go on to item 4, announcements.
Next Borough Council meetings are the February 5th workshop meeting and the February 19th regular meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Borough is scheduled to meet Wednesday, January 22nd at 8 a.m. in council chambers. There's a zoning hearing board meeting scheduled for 32 Roosevelt Avenue on February 6th at 7 p.m. in council chambers. And the Hatfield Museum Historical Society is scheduled to meet Tuesday, January 28th at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
All right. Any questions? Thank you, Madam Manager. All right. If not, we'll go to item 5, reports from our standing committees and the mayor. We'll start with the Budget, Finance, and Labor Committee. I can say we have not met this year, so there's not much to report. So I'm assuming no one is going to have any questions on that. How about planning, building, and zoning? Yeah.
We haven't met yet this year, so there's nothing to report for that one.
All right. Sorry, since Larry's not here. Public safety?
There's nothing to report for that one as well.
All right. How about public works?
Has not met, so there is no report.
All right. Utilities?
We have not met recently, nothing to report.
All right. How about HUROC?
We have not met recently, nothing to report.
All right. Madam Mayor, I know you got something interesting for us. All right.
I received information about our 2023 grant. The total will be for the recycling grant. The total for the borough will be $4,700. That's really not. It seems like every year it goes down and down. And I think one thing we have to make everybody aware of that it's so important to recycle. We get grant money that enables us to hold different events, recycling events, paper shredding and everything. And, it's really important that we bring our totals up. So, I'll ask everybody who's here and everybody who's listening, please recycle. Okay, that's it.
Madam Mayor, was the number less just because of the amount they were giving us, or was our recycling volume down?
Well, this is from 2023.
Hmm.
So the change in the method of distributing, as well as that amount that is being deducted because of waste, hasn't even come into play yet. That's 2024. So this is based on our population as well as our volume. So it keeps going down. So that's not good. I think we need to work as a community to get our numbers up.
Okay. Would you suggest maybe we post something on social media?
I think we are doing that. I believe there are, plans in the, Informer, the latest edition.
Yeah, there will be a front page, like front cover article, and it will talk about the new ordinance that we enacted this year and kind of talk about some recycling, highlight how we can, encourage people to recycle. So that's gonna go on, and we can take that and put it on the website as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if anybody has.
State grants, I think are based on pounds, aren't they? Pounds of recycled stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing is the tonnage,
Right.
but also the allocation is per population for this 2023. Starting in 2024, the allocation would be, according to, the tonnage, okay, in 2023, it was population, 2024, it will be the tonnage.
Right, which is something we could encourage the residents. We can make money on this if they do a good job.
Right,
As opposed to making it like you must recycle or else.
right.
So that might help.
I think there's lots we can do. And if anybody is unsure of, the recycling, the whole recycling issue, there are two good websites. It's, Earth 911 and also Retrieve R. You can get a lot of information about recycling just by going on that. So I encourage you to do that.
One of the other things too, is I know there was a problem with the apartment complex over on West Vine Street where they didn't have any recycling bins there, which I understand they now have. But we're not sure if they're being utilized. That's a large complex for collecting recyclable material. So I think we really need to keep an eye on that complex to make sure that there is some recycling going on from that.
So that's ideally, yes, we'd like to do that, but I don't know how.
And not just the apartment buildings, but I would say any multi-unit building. I don't know if that's part of the inspection program that we just enacted, but just outside of, regular apartment buildings, we should make sure that multi-unit, rentals are also offering recycling to their residents.
The apartment units in the borough, we isolated them, we identified them. And then our grant consultant sent letters to them saying you must have recycling bins and you must, have the people have them access to that so they can use it. So things have been done by our new consultants. So I think everybody who is in a, an apartment unit has been the unit has been contacted. So the only place I'm not really sure about is Paradise Manor. I'm not sure if they were sent a letter because I don't know technically if they're an apartment unit or not. So I'm going to follow up and see who their caller is, and then I'll give it to our consultant, and he can send them a letter. Because that's a fairly large complex, so. And if anybody else knows of any area in the borough where maybe there is no recycling canisters or dumps, whatever, let us know. That would be a big help.
All right, any questions for the mayor? All right. If not, we'll go to item 6, our reports and correspondence, starting with our monthly investment.
Monthly investment reports were included in your packets, and the cash account through November. November performance is up from October. I do have an email into Key Bank as, they went through a transition process and we were getting a new representative there to, see if, how we can maybe do a little bit of management. As I always say, electric does really good. We did get the balances in today. I think we made 16,000 on electric last month alone. The other accounts might be down 1,000 or 2,000. So electric, as always, seems to be performing well. So I'll be setting up that meeting with Key Bank when they designate our new representative.
Any questions? How about our EIT and LST?
EIT and LST are included in your packets for, actually through December, you can see the grand total for, EIT, 542 versus last year, 512, and for LST of 64,000 versus last year, 58,000. This year, we budgeted 500 for 2025 for, EIT and 50 for LST. But if they do, on a positive note, we may have under budgeted, but, if they're performing well through the year, as you know, when we passed our budget, we would be borrowing $180,000 roughly from investments. So if trends are budgeting high as they are now, it would just be less money that we'd be taking from investments, so that's the positive. So we'll just keep an eye on that and see how they're trending, for next year. It was an increase overall of $55,000, in our expected revenues from 2024 to 2025. So we are increasing it. It's just not guaranteed money, so we kind of have to see how the trends go.
All right, any questions? All right, how about monthly year to date?
Monthly year to date through November in your packets. As you can see, a little 422,000 for revenues. Expenses was up. We're starting to pay those utility replacement bills. So they'll be coming in and going out. So we should have a little bit more higher expenses you'll see over the next several months as we complete that project. Still revenues a little bit higher than expenses, so looking good for that. I did a quick calculation, we're at 8 million. If you take out the 2 million plus add in our ARPA funds, we're right around budgeted. It looks 76%, 75. Realistically, we're probably 95% on track because last year, as I had said, we put in that we were going to spend the money for the utility replacement project, but we didn't in 2024. That was part of the budget. So that accounts for $2 million that wouldn't have been spent. So right there, that kind of brings you closer to a 100% accuracy for your budget. I know it's impossible to be 100, but I like to be closer than 76.
All right, any questions? If not, we'll go to the monthly zoning and hearing board applications.
We do have a new application for 32 Roosevelt Avenue. They'll be having a meeting on February 6th at 7 p.m. They are asking for an accessory apartment on their, in their R3 residential commercial zoning district. So, I believe if you were going to talk a garage or an in-law suite, they'd like to turn that into an accessory apartment in their single family.
And this is newer, right? A newer request?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions? All right, if not, we'll go to the Steve Barth report.
Steve Barth's report was in your packets. He kind of is doing a reimagining downtown. So he took some aerial photos with help from the police department earlier in the year. Kind of is working with different businesses, how they could increase maybe outdoor seating, kind of bring more vibrant lifestyle to the core commercial area, maybe, more walkability friendly businesses have outside dining. So you can see kind of his sketches and ideas, maybe a little bit more landscaping downtown, those type of things he kind of outlined, just so you're starting to see a different vision for downtown.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Didn't know if you were done.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No, no. All right, if there's no questions, we'll go on to the police report.
I have a question, Chris. I like seeing the whole year statistics. Do you have a comparison for 2023? How does the numbers in 24 compare to 23?
I would say there's, I can give you the exact numbers right now, but I know it was an increase.
There wasn't-
The department as a whole, we finished just under 30,000 reports for the year. So obviously, I had the numbers in the report, but we finished up for 2024. But yeah, I can get you those figures.
Well, I don't need the exact numbers, but just I want to see if it's up or down, so it is up.
Yeah, it's just in general, so some of those could be proactive numbers as well, not necessarily calls for service or crimes.
Okay.
So, but I can get you a analysis too.
Okay.
So you can see that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If there are no questions, we'll go on to the fire department.
We had 475 calls this year. That is an increase of about 42% over last year.
Wow.
So we got busy this year. We tack on our calls that just our officers go to, we're 500 a year. A little crazy. And very likely that will go up even more next year.
Do you know why it increased or what the?
A lot of it is the fact that volunteer numbers are falling, especially in a lot of our neighboring areas. So there's a number of departments that we're on calls for all day long because they're not getting the numbers out. Also, 2/3 of the way through the year, the county came up with a new way to dispatch for major alarms. So kind of increase some of the call volume as well.
Mm.
It is what it is.
All right, any questions? If not, we'll go to E EMS.
EMS report was in your packets for November and December. Just want to highlight very similar, 14 calls in November, 13 calls in December, and talked to Chief today. They would actually like to come and present to Borough Council their 2024 report. So that's scheduled for the regular meeting in March. So they'll come out, talk about their numbers, talk about where they are, and they'll do a full presentation in March for us. So if you have any questions or think of any questions, they'll be coming in March.
Encourage the public to come out for that. So. All right, any questions? Excuse me. How about Public Works?
Steve's report was in your packets. He's unable to be with us this evening. So just general information, their day-to-day log, but wanted to take you to the last page where you can see the pole. This pole is at our AMP site, or if you want to call it our substation site. This is one of the poles that was scheduled to be replaced this year. That actually holds our whole infrastructure together. It's one of the poles that holds the major circuit to Hatfield Borough. So it was tested, red flagged. Borough Council allocated funds in 2024 to replace this. So this was taken care of, and we just wanted to include some pictures just so you can tell that, hey, sometimes there's a lot more damage than you think. Maybe that was intentional to include the photos. But
I can't picture Steve not saying, see, I told you this could be a problem and why you need to budget money for it. So, yes. All right. When Steve is back, tell him we said thank you for showing us the 1 foot hole inside the pole. So, all right. If there are no questions, we'll go on to our engineering report.
Charge report was included in your packets. I'll just highlight, all the water work has been completed on, the West Broad Street as part of the utility replacement project. Approximately 825 linear feet of storm sewer and 9 inlets on West Broad has been completed, roughly 35% done. So moving forward, keep going, we're gonna start to look possibly to start on the private work later this month, maybe beginning of February, hopefully to be off of West Broad end of February onto North Main. Obviously, that depends on weather. If we get, if they, over the holidays, they took some time off, then it snowed that day after we were coming back, so that put a delay into it. So if you are having private work on your property, we will be contacting you to give you kind of a better date and when they'll be starting on that work. Also want to bring your attention, there was really no land development updates, changes. Sanitary work, he made a note, that they began to research, pollutants in wastewater generated from breweries and the impact on that treatment. You may have seen some articles in the newspaper recently from some breweries in the area getting some charges from their wastewater treatment plants because they put different pollutants into the system. It's not treated before it goes to the treatment plant. So our engineers just being proactive as we send our waste to HTMA. Hey, what if we had a brewery come in and they put some waste into the system? What does that look like to Hatfield Borough? And how would we allocate those charges? Is that something that the borough would take care of? It's something we would put on the tenant? So he's just proactively looking into that in case that would come up with, a future property we have in the borough.
Do we have any estimate right now of when the resurfacing is going to begin on West Broad Street?
No, so I had talked to Chad about this. We're not sure, and they're undecided yet, if when they're done West Broad, they would do a final paving or they would wait more closer to the end of the project because of the detour signs and just moving and taking down the signs and all that. They're gonna be able to utilize some of those on North Main Street. So he was having a conversation with Gerard at with the company and just kind of finding out what their plan was. There's been talks both ways, like, hey, when you're done and you're off and you completely do West Broad and move on, or are you gonna move on and maybe come back and pave later? And it probably depends on temperature too and the plants and when the availability for it.
For asphalt.
Yes, so, but we have had conversations about it because, just the condition of the road, they can only do so much with their temporary restoration, and it's, it's not as great as you want it to be, right? Yeah. Yes, yeah.
I think sometimes we get spoiled in Borough because the roads are in pretty good shape, so, compared to other communities, so. So when we get something like that, you really notice it, so. Okay.
Especially with the truck traffic. We've had a lot of conversations with community members that live on Broad, and it's just a lot of trucks going down that road, a lot of noise all hours of the night. So, the contractor knows and has gone back and done some additional temporary restoration to the best that they can. I think a lot of it has to do with the water line that they put in the middle of the road too. So, if there's a specific area, let us know, because they've gone out and just added extra millings at the end of the day and things like that. So trying to be on top of it, but it's definitely not in the best shape currently.
All right, any questions? All right, how about zoning officer, building code and property management report?
Ops report was in your packet, nothing really outstanding, just 7 permits issued in December, a little bit slower of a month, 1 violation, nothing really significant to report.
Question, the sewer laterals, were they in conjunction to the road work or were they for something else?
No, it was part of, the UNO to sell the property.
Ah, okay. All right, any questions? If not, we'll go to fire marshal, fire safety inspection report.
The fire inspection report is in your packet. Year to date, we are 87% done for 2024. Good, I think could be better. We know we only have a certain allocated funds for 2025. So we are going to be working with Bob to clean this up for 2025 because we're going to be focusing on the rental inspection program. So we're going to have to try to manage that for a year to see what that looks like. Try to get some of the ones that he's at least not had eyes on yet out there to at least get an initial inspection would be like our main goal for the next couple months. So everybody at least had an initial inspection and then follow back up. We talked about, can you do them both at the same time for rental inspection and fire safety? And it's two different codes that you're looking at, so it would have to be two different inspections. So, you know, we're just gonna try to encourage, you have to get out to at least every property and get your eyes in there.
Is he gonna provide a roadmap to show you how he's gonna get it done?
Yeah, so right now he provided like the draft letter that everybody's getting, and he's working on allocating what's gonna be done at what time, you know, we kind of talked about that because, and how in-house we can track that as well, because how do you track when people move in and out and that kind of thing? I said, so Katie, myself and David and Bob are gonna have a meeting to kind of work through what that's gonna look like in 2025. So I think we're all gonna have to be a part of that conversation, because David will know people move in and out, and move-ins, and, you know, it'll be different. Katie's gonna help supplement that department a little bit as she does now, because he's only here 2 days a week. And, so we'll have to see how that works. I said, it's not gonna be perfect for the first year or two. I think there'll be some hiccups and we'll have to figure it out. But as I feel confident now that we at least have something that a resident can go to if there is a complaint or there is an issue with their landlord, they at least have an outlet that they didn't have before.
Right.
So we'll see how that works.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we'll go to fire marshal. Oh, I'm sorry, we were already there. How about pool advisor?
There's pool advisory minutes in your packet from, I believe, August, October, and November. Just talking about the maintenance for the pool and, you know, the systems that they're putting in place. So if you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to take those back to the board. I know that they had a meeting, I believe their first meeting of the year this Tuesday. So, I did talk to, Scott and Hatfield Township to just help try to include our pool members a little bit more, like, on the advisory board, like kind of, you know, we didn't get minutes for a little while and we don't really know when the meetings are. They didn't know when the meetings are. So just have a little bit better idea to keep everyone, because it's important and we want to know what's going on in the pool with the memberships, and so do our residents. So they committed to doing that for this year. And I did see that when they published their first meeting.
Now that their bond is about to be completed, is there any additional like major work they're planning that we know of, or is that something we want to ask them?
Yeah, not that I know of. I've read a little bit where they were doing some things to like the diving well, maybe some slide repair.
That's
I
pretty
didn't-
minor. though.
Yes,
That's-
I didn't see
yeah.
anything significant that stuck out, like, oh, they want to rehab the whole snack stand area or anything like that. But I can certainly ask
Yeah.
or have one of our representatives ask.
Okay, I think that'll be good. So,
Sure.
because again, if we have to start budgeting for it again, we're kind of looking forward to not having the bond payments on in our budget. So if that's going to change, it'd be good to know that in advance. And if anyone from pool advisors listening, we don't want it to change. So we want it to, and we want the bond payments to end after this year. All right. If there's no question for pool advisory, we'll go on to our manager's report.
So my report was included in your packets, just updated it for the beginning of 2025, tried to put some changes in on dates when things were approved, moved on to highlighting some 2024 projects we're still working on, and added 2025 projects in there for the roadway resurfacing project that's going to take place on North Main Street. We have a meeting scheduled with our engineer in February where we kind of a kickoff meeting. We'll talk about all the projects and give updates and things like that. So that's on the books. Did want to highlight an item of interest. The Montgomery County Borough Association dinner is hosted by Hatfield, Souderton, and Telford. I'll send you the invitation and email tomorrow. But we're working with Souderton and Telford to host this event. So if you're interested, you can attend. It'd be great to have as many from Hatfield there as possible.
You know, I'd like to encourage everybody to go to that since we are the hosts. It would be good if we had people there to represent the province. I'm planning on going. Right, Rich?
Wait a minute, isn't he supposed to ask permission from you?
Doesn't always work that way. I have one question here. You have about the maintenance bond in place on in Borough Square subdivision. I noticed me driving by there on the, not on Vine Street, the other street side, there's four, trees on the side of the house. Two of them look like they're dead. Are they gonna replace them?
Yeah, that's on, I know that that's on Chad's list, along with the dead tree in the middle of the basin.
Yeah.
So that is on, we've talked about that, and that was on his list. But I know that for the bond, I very well could be wrong, it's like public improvement, right? Yes. So we were, right, yeah, so I was like, we added that, and, so that is on the list of things, so to address when it comes up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We used to consider everything that we were making them do public improvements, but the law changed in that regard, and they have to be things that are really for the public, like stormwater basins, landscaping and stuff like that. You know, we used to make them escrow a lot. We didn't want them to get halfway through a big development and not get done, you know? But Chad's on top of that, and he's adjusted his figures to match that.
Thanks.
Anything else, Madam Manager?
No, nothing else.
All right, if there are no other questions, we'll go on to item 8, new business and discussion items. And we'll start with item A, resolution 2025-01, authorizing increase to the electric rates.
So this resolution was approved in December, for an increase in the electric rates, but there was a typo. If you take a look at section 3, it used to say that, letter E, the minimum charge was $12 for commercial properties, was $12.46. Well, the minimum charge needs to be $12.85, because it has to match the minimum that you charge a customer for 3 kilowatts, which is $12.48. So, just for transparency purposes, that I said to David, well, we don't bill till January 16th anyway, and we have a meeting on January 15th. Let's just put it on the agenda. It was a clerical error. Let's just put it on the agenda and get it approved. I don't think council would have any issues, and it's better to be transparent and put everything out in the public. It was just a clerical error when typing the resolution. So it's nothing big. They've actually been billed at the $12.48. That's what they've been billed. That's not the increase. That's the minimum charge that they get a month.
And who are we flogging as punishment for the typo?
I will take responsibility for my staff. I think it's been that way for a while.
All right, any questions? All right, if none, we'll go on to item B, payment request number 3, utility replacement project.
This payment request number 3 for the utility replacement project is being recommended, $164,901.60 to KBC Construction for work completed through December 20th, 2024. And it is all stormwater work, so it will start to be the responsibility of the borough. The last 2 payments, we got reimbursement directly back from North Penn Water, but we're starting to get into our work for the money that we borrowed. So this will all be grant funded. So, will be no reimbursement back for this one.
Any questions? All right, we'll go to item C, which I'm sure is what everyone's here for. Resolution 2025. We don't know the final number yet. The preliminary and final subdivision land development for 23 North Main Street, Hatfield Walk.
I have a question about this. This development, my biggest concern always was the traffic. Now, I know traffic studies are done, but, right up the road at 200 North Main Street, there is a proposed development of a, medium income senior living apartments. The apartments that are planned are about 126 in 3 different buildings. So I know you use numbers from PennDOT as to figure out the future, volume on the roads. would those numbers have included something like this, a development like that?
So, when they do a traffic study, they take the background information is known. And so we would have reached out to your engineer at the time, Anton, and said, hey, is there anything in the works? And if it wasn't in the works at that time, then they use a factor, percentage for each year, say. So they're gonna assume that traffic's gonna increase 2% a year. And so they do that in their study, for various years in the future. And so to answer your specific question, no, if they don't know about it, it's not in there. But there would have been some additional factors.
Okay, and how do we know if Anton presented that? Do we know?
I do not want to assume, but I would say the probability of Anton knowing would be slim because it only went to zoning. So we've never received a land development application for it where he would have had to write a review letter or anything like that. It went to zoning and it was approved in zoning, and then Alliance Housing has been waiting for several years to get the tax credits that we've been talking about. So I don't want to assume and speak for Anton, but I don't know how he would know, right? Because he didn't review any land development application.
Right.
Like he normally does.
It seems like they're starting to move on that development. So I don't know how long it's gonna take them. I'm sure they're not gonna have this up and running in a year. But I mean, I think we need to consider the impact on traffic. And maybe we need to find out if Anton did inform them about the proposed development.
You know, I can't answer that question, which is a good one. It's something that Jamie can talk to Anton about. But I'm looking at Anton's letter, which was in our last packet, but not in this one, and would be an exhibit to the resolution that's in the packet. This is what it says. It should be noted, based on information provided, the queues on North Main Street from its intersection with Broad will extend past the site during both peak hours. And the residents had said the same thing, basically, that it would go past the site during peak hours. Driveway and traffic signal operations should be monitored after the development is opened and operating at full occupancy. I know the applicant got that. It's gonna be a situation where if you live there, you're not gonna be able to get out easily at peak hours. Maybe you can go right, but you know, you're not gonna be able to get out and make a left very easily. I don't know, Ben, do you want to address that? You did offer us money for signs and striping. But...
Yeah, so I think that's the goal, right? Is that during the peak hours in the morning and the afternoon, that a signage would go up to limit the left turn, so folks would have to make a right turn, which would help alleviate, any potential crash that might happen there because someone was trying to squeeze out.
Wouldn't the increased traffic due to this development though, wouldn't it affect the gap time and all those other factors?
It's not going to be material based off the volume of that's on the road today. There's, thousands of vehicles on the road today. So when they do those studies, it's all about percentages, right? So, even if you're hearing 126 units, during the peak hours, that might be 70 homes or something like that when, there's thousands on the road. So it's really just a small percentage.
Okay, thank you.
And basically, is what Anton's saying, it's already gonna back up, even if you didn't know about that other development. So that's an issue, but, what can we do?
I will call him and ask if he provided that. Just to get clarification for everybody, I'd be happy to do that and reach out to him.
Thank you.
Because if he didn't consider it and he has a different recommendation based on that, then we still have time to, go over that and talk about it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Did anybody have questions about the draft resolution that was in your packets? And the reason I'm asking is I did make changes to it based on Chad's comments and things we heard at the meeting last time and stuff like that. So there have been some changes. We thought we would take action on this at a February meeting. And so there's still time if you want to study it and email me or let me know you got an issue with something else. You can certainly do that. We still have time. But I did make, changes on conditions and I added the $2,000 contribution towards the signage and striping and things like that, but.
I just want to get final confirmation because I know the applicant with the residents had some questions back and forth when we were out there and you guys were working some deals on what was going to go up. Is all that finalized?
Not yet, with the holidays, we hadn't really gotten together, so.
Okay.
We'll get together, one of these days. Figure out what we can do.
Okay. Because that'll need to be in the final resolution, in the final draft, so, as well. Okay.
Great, I do want to say that I had, one of the changes I made related to the white fence or whatever it is. You know, see, if I can find that was agreed that would go up, rather than landscaping, which won't fit. It's in here.
Is that page 2,
Yeah.
under waivers, first section?
Right, okay, I'm just gonna read this out loud and make sure I got it right, okay? Rather than the required 5 shade trees, a 6-foot high white vinyl privacy fence and shrubs along the southeastern property boundary, rather than the required 7 shade trees. There's not sufficient space for those shade trees. Okay, anybody got a problem with that?
There's an exception, but I know they were still talking through,
Go ahead.
sorry, I know they were still talking through, was it gonna be a 6-foot fence, an 8-foot fence? How were they gonna
Okay.
do that? So I think that's still in question, right?
I think we're gonna stick with the 6-foot fence. It's just a function of, me offering some, vegetation to, one of the.
Okay,
And if it might have to be planted in somebody's yard as
Yes.
opposed to on the site.
okay, so it's,
We
okay.
did discuss that
That's
a little bit last time.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we would want to memorialize that kind of an agreement in the resolution.
Sure.
So, and I can give you the draft. I don't know if you've seen
I saw it on, Jamie had emailed the.
it. Okay, fine.
And I read through it. It was very thorough.
And anybody in the audience, I brought an extra copy. Anybody in the audience want a copy of the draft resolution? Anyone? Going once? Okay, they'll take it. Sure. There you go.
And what's the date again that we're gonna take action on this? February the,
So it depended on how much conversation and how many edits that you needed to do prior. So we have 2 meetings in February, which would be February 5th or February 19th. So it just depended how the conversation went tonight. If it's ready to go and you guys are happy with it and there's not a lot of changes, you can vote on it on February 5th. If you want to make a bunch of changes or there's things you're not happy with still and you want to take a vote on February 19th, either is fine. In my to-do, I have it on both draft agendas for myself, my to-do list, yes.
why don't we set it up for the 19th? Just that way we can set it in stone and, give people from the community if there's still time, if they still have questions or things that they want to bring up, so.
We could put it on the workshop for discussion and then do it at
Right.
the regular. That would be normal
Yeah.
scheduling
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. I know I don't have any more questions. I think I've beaten Ben up enough, so. Does anyone from the community have any questions? All right. If there are no more questions, we'll go on to item D, the 2025 borough budget and binder distribution.
So everybody has a copy of the 2025 budget and contact finder at their places. So questions, concerns, let Katie know. That's something that you get annually.
You switch colors this year. I like the change.
Yes.
Is that what it is? I like the way you guys think, so. All right, any questions? And by the way, this binder is very helpful, so appreciate that every year, so. All right, if there are no questions, we'll go on to item 9, if there's any old business.
Can I just make a request, Kate, when you do the next packet, if you could send out with the resolution, the exhibits. They're the review letters, basically. And I think it will be helpful for council to have the review letters with the resolutions and such, okay? You've seen them all, it's just,
Mhm.
you know, you might forget.
All right, since we don't have any old business, we'll go on to item 10, our action items. All right, we'll start with item A, motion to consider resolution 2025-01, authorize an increase to electric rates. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Second?
I get a motion from Councilman Gerard or second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, item B, motion to consider payment request number 3 for the utility replacement project to KBC Construction Incorporated in the amount of $164,901.60. Can I get a motion?
Second?
A motion from Councilman Cresser, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, so our action items are done, with the exception of our motion to approve the bills. Were there any questions on the bills?
I have a couple of questions. Government engineering, I saw the, additions to the January. What, the Liberty Bell Trail, what is that? I'm concerned.
It's the, yes, and it's the, NTF grant that we received for the crosswalks for Liberty Bell Trail and for West Broad. So they're actually believe that they can, put those out to bid this year, though we probably won't start it, maybe till end of year next year. We won't need the funds till next year, but we actually have funds allocated already in Harleysville Bank that we borrowed for this project, so that will be taken out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question I had was, Bart, with the payment that was made, is that for fourth quarter 2024 or first quarter now this year?
It's the, first and final payment.
Right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
You have one more question. I noticed that the railroad company has been out trying to remove a number of, all that pile, the old railroad ties there. But have you gotten any sort of a deadline when they're going to be finished with that? Because it seems like all of a sudden it came to a standstill again.
I've been talking to the gentleman who runs that, and he's dealing with some family issues, so someone was filling in for him. So he did promise that he would get on it after the holidays, so I was excited to see them out there today, I think, removing them. So, I'd be happy to reach back out and just kind of get a better time frame. We all agreed that when it was complete, and I saw they removed the ones from Schwab Road, which was a giant pile down there too. So I will follow back up and get a more definite time frame on that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any other questions? If there are none, can I get a motion to approve payment of the bills?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Gerard, second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, we will have an executive session to talk about real estate litigation and personnel, so can I get a motion to adjourn, madam? I have a motion from Councilman Cresser, a second from Councilman Gerard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.